Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Live Your Spa Life show. Spa life is a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony coexist. The Spa and Spa Life, the SPA, is for Seek Power Always, that power within you to do your deeper work in the world. I am so excited to have my dear friend Heather Blaise as a guest here on the show. She is the founder of Boost You. So funny. I can't wait to hear more about this because anything she touches turns to gold. So I can't wait to hear more about Boost You. She teaches purpose-driven entrepreneurs cutting-edge strategies, transformational self-awareness, and prosperity techniques that create wildly successful businesses. Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Diane. So good to see you too.
Girl, everything you touch turns to gold, and you do it with such ease and grace. I definitely want to hear more about Boost You, and what are you most excited about with it?
I'm just most excited about transforming people's lives because what I teach basically what I do. So I teach time and money freedom, right? So it's great to have a business that makes money, but if you don't have the time to spend the money, then what's the point, right?
Yeah.
So I teach my clients how to simplify. You mentioned with ease and everything. Yeah, it doesn't have to be hard. It can be quite simple. Not easy because there's work involved, but there's certain techniques that I've noticed, there's a blueprint actually that I've noticed over the years since I've been coaching business owners. I started coaching them back in 1996. So it's been a while. I've coached thousands and thousands of business owners and I've seen it all basically. So I've noticed that there is a formula for success. And when you don't follow that formula for success, it doesn't work, right? And it's kind of like baking a cake. It's like following a recipe. If you leave out an ingredient, like you miss a step in setting up your business, or if you do it out of turn, then it's not going to turn out just like a cake. Like if you put the icing on a cake before you put it in the oven and take it out, it's not going to turn out the same as if you put it in the oven, let it cool, and then put the icing on the cake, right?
Right.
So same with the business. When you're setting up a business with a strong foundation, and in order to have time and money freedom to do what you love to do, instead of just creating a job for yourself, it's important to execute each step in the right order so that it turns out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it really excites me because it's just, my clients get excited and they're, thanking me and they're like living this dream life that they've always wanted. They're able to have that time and money freedom to spend time with their families, to do what they truly love, to really impact people, make a difference in people's lives. And for me, it's truly fulfilling and satisfying,
Yeah. Well, I know also as part of your journey, you've actually studied like the psychology of success. And as part of that, you've uncovered, brain traps. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about like what that is and how that comes into play to, sabotage and keep people in struggle.
Well, everybody's got fear, no matter what, no matter what level you're at, if you're just starting out, if you're, you get to the higher levels, you start making 50, 100,000 a month, you still have fear. It's just different, right? But the difference is, the brain trap that you talk about is, do we let that fear stop us, or how do we move through that fear? And once we learn how to move through it, it's almost like a muscle because you just keep doing it over and over again. And again, any successful business owner, entrepreneur needs to develop that muscle in order to succeed. If you don't, move through it, if you just let everything stop you, we've got these limiting beliefs and everything that can stop us, and pre-programmed limiting beliefs, mind you, right? From school, from society, from our parents, our friends growing up, like our whole society is built on being a worker, right? Not really being a business owner. So we're taught from our parents who were always workers, typically, who went through the same school system, the same society, everything. So we learn what they know. Then we go through school learning how to be workers. So we never get taught how to be a business owner. I was fortunate that my father was a successful entrepreneur. So it's kind of in my blood. I was born into business and stuff like that. But statistically, business owners only succeed about 50% of the time. Within 3 to 5 years, it takes them about 3 to 5 years to figure out how to be successful, and only 50% of them end up making it. So I've basically eliminated the risk, that whole 50%. I've got 100% success rate with my clients because it's a formula, it's a blueprint. As long as you do the work, you get the results. And instead of 3 to 5 years, we shave that off completely into about 8 weeks. So, yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, that's definitely something for those aren't the numbers that we typically hear. But we do hear about people being in fear and about the things that stop people from achieving that next level of actually doing the things that they want to do. And especially when you talk about that 50% not making it, I would surmise that fear plays a big part in that. Would you say that, are there certain characteristics or habits, or what makes the difference between those that get beyond the fear and those that get stuck in it?
It is definitely mindset. I always say to my clients too, it's 80% mindset. If something's not working in your life, in your business, go back to the work, go back to the mindset. I've got lots of different exercises that I teach around that because it is, like you've got to be able to move through it. And that's the thing. I think my dad said to me once, because I was really scared to make my first real estate investment back in the day with my ex-husband, who I'd only known for 3 months. And, my dad said something to me that was quite profound. He said, well, you never know unless you do it. You might fail, you just might. But what's the worst case scenario, right? Just think about what's the worst case scenario, that you live your whole life never living a full life, your dream life, because we only have one life. We only get one shot at it, right? We have a limited amount of time here. And so if you let that fear stop you, you're just never going to know, but you can just do it, see what happens, and I also say, take imperfect action. It doesn't have to be perfect. So take some action, do whatever it takes, find something on YouTube. There's tons of affirmations and things like that, because that's what it usually stems from, I think, is deep down inside. It's usually self-worth. If we go dig deep into what's really stopping us, it's usually the self-worth. So if you can find a coach or find something on YouTube or find whatever it is, see somebody that you see succeeding that you could emulate, and take them for lunch and pick their brain and see what they do to move through fear, but it usually stems from that. I think it usually stems from the self-worth. So if you can focus on that, you can usually move through it.
Yeah. Well, we talk a little bit about, being in that place of fear, and what are some of the tools to be able to utilize to move through fear and to be more fierce in our life. And I know one of the tools that you did is that you actually did some skydiving. And I'd love for you to share just what that experience was like and how that has been like a platform for you as well, to be one of the tools that you use to move through fear.
That's perfect. That's a great example because it's a bit extreme, I know, but it's a great example for moving through fear. So my girlfriends, years ago, before I had a child, they said, oh, we're going to go skydiving together. And I was like, oh, I don't know. That sounds terrifying. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I'm like, I'll just come and watch. And I was like, I could feel my heart pounding, and I'm not even going to jump. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go watch, but maybe I'll go. Maybe I'm just going to go. And so so my heart was pounding. I'm like calling my parents on the drive there. I'm like, I just want to tell you, I love you. And I might go skydiving. Probably not. I'm just going to go and check it out. But my girlfriends are going skydiving, and I'm just, thought I'd call and say hi, say I love you. Anyway, I just drove there, I was like, I wasn't for sure gonna go. And then I got there, and then the girls were getting ready to go, and they were like, well, do you want to just watch the presentation? I was like, okay, I'll just watch the presentation, but I'm probably not gonna go. And I was like watching the people jumping and landing safely. But so I went through the presentation, that you had to learn, that you had to know to go tandem. And so I did that, and then they were like, okay, well, do you want to go? And I was like, well, not really, but whatever, I'll sign the thing. And they're like, well, do you want to do you want a video of it? I said, sure, we'll get the video, you know, but I'm still not 100% sure if I'm going to go. But I just kept going through the motions to
Right.
move me forward, whatever, you know, without really thinking about it. So I kind of got out of my head and just went through the motions and into the plane and up. And, you know, and I remember asking the guy, like, how many jumps have you done? You know, and I think he said maybe 1,000 or something. I said, okay, well, he's still alive, so that's good, you know. So, and then I was up in the plane, and I was just, my heart was pounding. I was terrified, but I just kept going, moving forward, not really thinking about it too much. And then I did it, and we got out there, and it was amazing. It was so exhilarating and beautiful. And really the scariest part for me was the drive to the place. And then I just kind of stopped thinking, just started doing the motions to get me through. And then now I use that same thing. Anytime I'm scared, I just don't think about it. I just, next step, what's the next step? What's the next step? And then I just do it, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, I know one of the things that you talk about is that it always works out. So no matter what our fears are, a lot of times the buildup of the fear is bigger than the actual thing itself. And what I love about the process that you're talking about is that you just took one step. Like it was just the next step, right? And then the next step. And I think sometimes when we look at it in the totality, that's where we get like overwhelmed, or it feels like I can't do it, but we can always do that next step. And, you know, when you were speaking, it was just reminding me like when I was a police officer and I would walk down dark alleys and it would be like, oh my God, like there's like, I've been shot at, like I've had these scenarios and things that have happened. And I always set the intention that I'm going to get home at night. Like I'm there. It was always clear to me that I was going to come home. I was a single mom, just like you. And, you know, it was one of those intentions, and I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I would just always just take the next step. And I think that there's something really important in the conversation around that, especially around uncertainty, and especially right now. I mean, people are feeling more uncertain than ever, feeling like, you know, we're in unknown territory. However, in times like this, a lot of businesses actually really succeed because they're looking at it from a much different perspective. So can you talk a little bit about business succeeding in uncertainty?
For sure. I think that's what's gotten me, you know, I think that process has gotten me to where I am today. And like you said, everything I touch is gold. Well, it's not that it's like, boom, it's done, you know, and it's gold. There is that process. So taking the next step and, oh, that didn't work, let's shift over here. Shifting and adapting is really important too. But yeah, taking that next step, shifting and adapting, and going to the end goal, the intention, the vision, you know, of what you want to happen, I think is important, and it's key. Having a clear vision of the end, for where you want to end up. It doesn't really matter how you're going to get there, but having that clear intention, like you said, that clear vision of the end goal in mind, and just knowing with certainty that it's going to work out, that it's going to succeed. When this whole thing hit, I ended up having my best month in April. And the way I did that was I quickly just shifted and adapted, you know, things to go with what was happening. And people really needed what I have to offer more than ever, because everything was shifting online. And I teach, like I said, what I do, and I can work from anywhere. And so even I'll give you an example of my other client, Shelly, who was a dress shop owner. All the shops were closing. She was thriving because she had that blueprint, you know, she shifted, she adapted, and created something that would work for her with that successful blueprint or whatever. So, you know, that I taught her how to do. So while other people were closing up shop, she was hiring and training more people. It's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and also, you know, I find that, especially on the entrepreneurial journey, there are disempowering moments. There are things that maybe take the wind out of our sails and can maybe shift us off course. And so I'd like you to share just, you know, maybe one of those experiences that you had and how you moved through it to now be in a more empowered place.
Yeah, I mean, I still have those days, right? And sometimes it could last a week. So again, it goes back to the mindset. I have a routine that I do every day, pretty much. And it sets me up for success, and it keeps my mindset strong. I call it a bulletproof mindset. And, you know, it starts with meditating, and there's exercise and making sure I have enough sleep. And then I start with my lemon water, and I do things that really keep me strong and keep my mindset strong. If I'm having doubts, if I'm having fears or whatever, I might do something called the 50 stacks, where I'll write down like 50 things of what makes me awesome, you know.
I love that.
It just like, it pumps you up, right? Like it just is like, oh yeah, I did this, and I'm that, or, you know, or whatever. Just putting down as many things that you can think of that other people tell you are great about yourself, or that you like about yourself. There's also like mirror work by Louise Hay, I love, you know, like it just, everybody has those days where, you know, you're doubting yourself, and you're feeling stuck, or you're feeling stopped. And you can always, you know, reach out to, again, reach out to a mentor, reach out to a coach, reach out to a friend that you admire where they are, and just talk to them and ask them what are they doing.
Yeah, I love
You know?
that.
Does that
Well,
answer? Sometimes I go
also,
off on tangents.
no, I love that. And well, and speaking of going off on tangents, you know, we talk about being a choice in our life to really be clear about what it is that we want to do. And one of the things that, you know, I admire so much about you, I mean, you and I have been through over, you know, a decade of watching each other's lives and seeing what they're up to. And I can remember a point in your life when you were married, and, you know, everyone from the outside, it really looked like you had the perfect life, you know. And, you know, there were some amazing things, you know, about that relationship and what you were doing. But one of the things that you always were very clear about was that you wanted to have a child. And something that really shifted in that relationship is that you stood up for you, and you made a decision to be a single mom, and to really shift out of what a lot of people would have thought of being, this is secure, and this is known, and this is like the path, and you can have whatever you want, and, you know, all of what would be considered like the life. Can
Yeah.
you speak to just making that shift in your life? And I know it wasn't an easy decision. You and I had a lot of discussions around that,
Yeah.
but being on the other side of that, right? You know, living your life with your son, and shifting, and you are the just the epitome of just pivoting and shifting, and always coming back to your center, and what to your choices, that, you know, you are in alignment with what is true for you. And so I would just love for you to share, because I think there's a lot of people in that space these days where it's like things look really great in some ways, but people don't know, you know, the shoes that people walk into, and what their true heart's purpose is. And we don't know how much time we have here. And so how you made some of those shifts, and what it looks like on the other side.
Yeah, it's true. I had a dream life, You know, I was traveling every 6 weeks all around the world, staying in 5-star hotels, traveling first class, you know, married to a great partner. We did have our challenges, you know, but I think that the main thing was that I wanted to have a child, and my biological clock was ticking. It was in our, you know, when we planned out our life, we had planned on having a child and starting that at age 33. But then age 35 came, we still didn't have a child, and it just wasn't happening. And what didn't look like it was going to happen. And so, yeah, I had to make the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life, because things were really good overall. I had a great life. You're right. But that was one thing that I just, sorry, that was just one thing that that couldn't be fixed with that person. You know what I mean? Anything else we could have probably worked through, but that was something that I really needed to have for my life. And like you said, we only live once. So I'm always kind of thinking about it from that perspective. Like when I'm on my deathbed, looking back on my life, what do I want it to look like? You know? And so even though I was living this amazing dream life and had all the time and money in the world to do whatever I wanted, I wasn't going to have a child, you know? And that was the one thing that I just couldn't get with that person. So yeah, I had to shift and adapt and make that hard choice. And I left everything, and I started completely over as a single mom. I found somebody, you know, right away, and and had a child, but it wasn't a stable relationship, and basically, I basically chose to be a single mom, yeah, because it probably, I knew at the time it probably wasn't even going to work out with that person, but I really wanted to have that child so bad. So, but it, you know, it's the best decision I ever made now, you know, but it was very, very difficult, very challenging, very scary. But again, I just took the next steps, did the same thing that I always do, and knowing that it will always work out, and
Yeah.
better than ever.
Yeah, I love that you share that, because I do believe that there are people listening right now that may be at some crossroads. And I think that it's important to really look at, like, what do you want your life to look like at the end of the day? Like, you know, what are those really important things that you want to have your life reflect? And I think that that is really empowering to be clear about what that is, because I think there's plenty of people that maybe get to that end and they're like, I wish I had, you know, if I only did this. And so we have this opportunity when we are making these steps forwards in our life to be really clear, because if we're not personally happy, if we're not on the path doing, then we really can't help the other people, because something is disconnected and something is not supporting us in the way that that can happen. So I think that it's really helpful. I love really talking to strong entrepreneurial women who have walked those steps, right? So that people can see what that can look like on the other end, and what that looks like. And especially, you know, one of the things too that I love to always ask my guests, and because I'm looking at your place, you're in Canada, you have, you know, different locations that you stay at. So I don't know if you're thinking about this home, but maybe your home back here in the US, is we have a different experience, like in our bedroom versus our office and our kitchen. And I believe our environment really does have an impact on our experience of life. So what is your favorite room in your home, and why?
My home in San Diego is my favorite. This one's nice. This one's homey and cozy and warm. But my home in San Diego, I think, is my living room. Actually, I have a big thankful sign on the wall, and I've got my dream sofa. It's all down filled, and I just I go there, and I look out in my beautiful backyard, and I don't know, it just feels so good. Yeah.
Nice. I love that, because I think that there's something about the spaces that we create is that kind of like this reflection of our inner world, of how we're feeling and where we are in life. And when we look out, about how happy it makes us feel. And it's not from a materialistic, it's a feeling type thing. It's like, how is our day-to-day life when we're walking through the spaces that we've created? Are they uplifting us and making us happy, or are they taking some of our energy away? So I think there's something to be said with the spaces that we create, and the level of joy and happiness that we experience. So I could talk to you about this all day. And I know that our listeners are going to want to stay in contact with you. How can they do that?
They can go to my website. It's heatherblaise.com. Really simple. I'm Heather Blaise, heatherblaise.com. There's all kinds of resources on there. And yeah, if you're a business owner and you're needing extra clients, or you're interested in learning more about how to have more time and money freedom and impact people with your amazing gifts, I've got a free workshop on there as well. So you can just go to heatherblaise.com and click on free workshop, and it's the best 45 minutes you'll ever spend probably on your business.
Nice.
So yeah.
I love it. So what about any parting thoughts or words for our listeners who maybe they are in that place of fear, and they're working hard, you know, kind of spinning their wheels? We know lots of people that work hard, but they're maybe not making progress. They're not going to the next level. You know, they're kind of maybe in a stall point. Can you share with them?
I would say just stop if you're spinning your wheels and you're working hard and you're struggling, just stop and take a minute, breathe. I love to do this exercise of creating your ideal day, where you start with what if you had all the time and money in the world, what would your ideal day look like? What time would you wake up? Where would you wake up? What would you see? What would you smell? Go through all the senses, be as specific as possible. And then what would you do next? If you wake up at 7, is it 7:15? Like for me, I wake up at 6:30, I think it was, ideally, and then somebody brings me my lemon water from my lemon orchard, like it's very specific, and just go through your whole day from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. What does that look like? Because again, that clarity of the end of what do you ideally want for yourself in your life.
Heather, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. For some reason, something got interrupted with while you were talking. So, and I'm not sure why.
Okay.
Hang on one second. Let me pause this. All right. So Heather, I know that our listeners not only going to want to stay in contact with you, but what are some parting thoughts that you have for those that may be working really hard, spinning their wheels, and just don't know what the next step is? Maybe they're in fear. They're not sure what to do.
Yeah, that's a great question. Whenever I have people calling me, I get people calling me every day in that same position. Actually, they're stuck. They're spinning their wheels. They're working hard. They're overwhelmed. They're stressed. What I recommend is just to stop everything and just breathe and do an exercise that I like to recommend. It's creating your ideal day. So just imagine you have all the time and money in the world to do whatever you want to do. Get out a journal. It's important to write it down, not just think about it in your head. Write stuff down. And think about, if you had all the time and money in the world, what would be the ideal time that you'd wake up? What's the first thing you do? What's the first thing you see, smell, hear? Go through all your senses and just write down, what's the next thing you do at what specific time. So if you wake up at 6:30, ideally at 6:45, what happens next? For me, it's like I wake up at 6:30. Ideally, somebody brings me my lemon water from my lemon that they picked off my organic tree in my backyard. Like, this is ideal, right? Well, nobody's bringing me lemon water right now, but I have an automatic kettle, and I do finally have this orchard in my backyard. So I wrote it down 2 years ago, and it's getting there. Like, it actually does happen. So I recommend just stop, get really clear on what your ideal life looks like, but start with the ideal day. And then reach out, find a coach, find a mentor, find somebody that can help you with what you're trying to achieve. It just will cut down so much time, save you so much money, save you so much time to get the results that you want, because it's not really, it's been done over and over again. Find somebody that's done it and get them to help you, because like I said, life's too short and you want to live your best life while you can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much just for your time and your wisdom. And it's always amazing to see you and thriving, and give my love to Hayden, and we'll connect when you are back in town.
Sounds good. Thanks, Diane.
You got it. And then to our listeners, just thank you so much. We're here for you, and building community and positive messages is such an important thing for us to have in the media, and you get to be part of that. And we would love for you to subscribe, to share, put any of your comments, any questions that you have. Maybe you're stuck in your life and you've got some questions that either Heather or myself can answer for you. Please make sure you tag both of us. And let's get into this community together where we can spread positive messages, ways to support each other. That's how we get move forward and be part of positive